Since the ruling, we know that the Zionist occupation has continued these acts that the ruling stated can essentially be used as evidence of genocide. And although that ruling did not explicitly order a ceasefire, what is the extent of their power? And you talked a little bit. You said their power is limited when it comes to enforcing such things, but is that a possibility? Is it possible that Israel is already in non-compliance with that ruling and could face consequences?
Yeah, so the ruling ordered Israel to effectively, it ordered a couple of different things, but part of what it ordered was for Israel to stop committing acts of genocide. So it did not order a ceasefire overall, but it did say that Israel needed to stop committing the enumerated acts of genocide listed in the convention, which include killing, which includes causing serious mental or bodily harm, which includes taking on certain actions that effectively destroy the population in whole or in part, making births unlikely, and that sort of thing. It said that Israel needed to stop doing those acts with the intention of destroying the Palestinian population in whole or in part. It also said that Israel needed to take actions to prevent and punish acts of genocide, incitement to genocide, all these sorts of things. And it also required that Israel allow humanitarian aid that was adequate to deal with the crisis inside of Palestine. Um, it certainly has not stopped the massive killing. It certainly has not allowed humanitarian aid in on any kind of substantial level since this order was issued, and instead has arguably influenced a variety of Western nations to cease funding UNRWA. UNRWA is the UN refugee agency that is specifically and exclusively tasked with supporting Palestinian refugees. And in Gaza, they are very, very, very important. They provide jobs, they provide schools, they provide all sorts of infrastructure, they provide humanitarian aid. They're incredibly important. Cutting off aid to UNRWA, especially in this moment, is just going to enact even more death and destruction upon the Palestinians in Gaza. And the fact that that decision came out by the United States and other Western countries the very same day as the ICJ's issuance of the provisional measures, mere hours after the issuance of those provisional measures, suggests that those countries may be complicit in genocide by failing to continue to fund UNRWA after the ICJ issued the ruling that it did, and we can discuss why. But certainly Israel isn't allowing a lot of humanitarian aid in. So on that score, I think it's fair to say that it's been a week, but it's already violated. It seems to still be in violation. It seems to be in violation of that part of the order. And then in terms of stopping genocide, right? The court found that there was a plausible basis to believe that acts of genocide were being committed based in part by the massive civilian death, injury, and destruction of civilian property. That was part of its conclusion, that there was a plausible basis to believe that genocide was happening. And those acts are still continuing. You don't need the statements. There are plenty of statements that Israeli officials have made that were included in the South Africa application that were cited by the ICJ. But you don't need explicit statements of genocidal intent in order to find that genocide exists. You can infer the existence of that intent from the actions taken by the person, the state being accused of genocide. And in this case, the court itself cited those actions that form a plausible inference of genocide. And those acts are continuing. Genocidal statements are also arguably continuing, including a giant conference that was held recently to resettle Gaza, where a variety of Israeli government officials participated and made certain statements, basically calling for the expulsion of Palestinians living inside of Gaza to make way for Israeli settlers.